Okay, so in previous videos, I've talked about various different Wonder Woman, and I love Wonder Woman, and I've said it on occasion and probably multiple times that I really enjoy her as a character for the most part, at least the one that is a hero. I feel like that Wonder Woman is the perfect balance between femininity and also just strength, power, and just flat out human prosperity. Now, I say that with minor grains of salt, just because I know there are different Wonder Women that are not necessarily your typical hero Wonder Woman. And after watching the Flashpoint paradox, which I've talked about in a previous video, probably the one right before this one, she basically is, let me put it this way, an absolute menace. So in the very beginning, we see the normal Wonder Woman, right? We see before the Flashpoint, we see the normal superheroes. You have a cast of superheroes like Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, right? You have all of these normal heroes and normal Justice League heroes. And there's nothing really different here. And I really loved this part of the movie just because it felt like we were really getting a gist of the normal timeline. This is what the normal timeline was, and how much things would change, especially when only small or a little detail in the grand scheme of things would be changed from the past. We obviously know Barry would go back in time. He would go back in time and save his mother from actually dying via muggers that broke into their house. And so yes, to us, maybe a death in the family is a big deal, like a really big deal. But in the grand scheme of the entire world, it's just a small speck in time. And I don't mean to say that very like I'm being mean or anything like that, but that's the reality of time itself. That little bit, it's the same thing and same idea of crushing a butterfly in the past. Things can change massively even when you make a very small change, like a very small change. And one of these changes would be someone I really wanted to talk about in the last video, but I felt like she needed a video of her own, and that would be Wonder Woman. Yes, in this new timeline, Wonder Woman is introduced by some insane display of savagery. Like, when I mean savagery, I mean savagery. Because this Wonder Woman is far different, or at least to an extent far different than your normal Wonder Woman. And the scene with Steve Trevor running from the Amazons is the perfect thing to set the tone, especially for what this war and what the war is, what the war is really true and truly about, and what is truly going on. Steve Trevor basically runs away from these Amazons and would be shooting a gun trying to get away from them, and he would be killing them. That's brutal, but that's the reality. And it seems as if they're making the Amazons feel not necessarily like fodder, but definitely expendable. These Amazons are straight up dying in front of us like it's a casual thing. And Steve Trevor continues to run and try to escape, but I think he even knows that there's no way he's going to get out of here. He's currently searching for Lois Lane, who's doing research on the Amazons and trying to learn about anything she possibly can. And before he could even find her, though, unluckily, he would be found by the Amazons and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman would cut him off, blasting through the top of a building or kind of this structure, and tie the lasso of truth around his neck. Now, he or she initially uses the lasso of truth, kind of just a way to mitigate more or less damage to somebody. And this way is a little bit more brutal. I mean, she straight up wraps it around his neck and squeezes that thing, telling him to tell the truth right now or else. And for a large extent, he's actually partially resisting. So she decides to lift him up just on the tippy toes of his feet. So he's basically getting choked to death as we speak. And as she's doing this, she wants to know why he's here and who he is. And he spills the entire plate. I mean, he straight up spills everything. And we all know why he would. I mean, it is the lasso of truth. But it does put into perspective that someone like Steve Trevor, who's like basically a spy, is able to maintain himself at least for a certain amount of time. But that added brutality of the choking forced everything out of him, making it another level to what Wonder Woman was, especially as a hero compared to this version of Wonder Woman. And after he spills everything, he doesn't just, or she doesn't just allow him to leave or allow him to, lay there completely unconscious. No. One of the Amazons literally asked Wonder Woman, "Oh, should I handle this? Should I kill him?" But Wonder Woman, in her all brutal state and being an absolute menace, she says, "Nah, I'm not going to allow you to do that, because a real leader is going to have to step up and show you what it's really all about." And she straight up lifts him into the sky while holding him and choking him by the neck with the lasso of truth. And I think we all know what happens from here on out. Yeah, Steve Trevor goes to sleep forever. Yeah, forever. And it's kind of a scary thing, because a lot of references are made for her. And she talks about that she's a servant to her people, and more or less it's talking about how she needs to lead by example. And it's a really brutal scene, because this is the queen of the Amazonians, and on top of that, she's not your normal queen or king. This is your front of the line queen or king, someone that will stand and fight and battle with you. And it's as if she's also queen because of her flat out better fighting skills and better abilities than everyone else. I mean, we all know that she is basically a god, and that's a point that I will talk about in a little bit, them being gods. But she is brutal in this scene, like absolutely brutal in the scene. And maybe that's even an understatement to say that it's being brutal. But speaking of brutal scenes, we even get a flashback to see a former truce between the Amazonians and the Atlanteans. Now, if I'm correct, and I apologize if I'm wrong, I believe that in the comics, this ensues because Wonder Woman is poisoned by a kraken. Now, I may be wrong about that. I would love for you guys to correct me in the comments. I really do appreciate it when you guys make sure that I'm in the right time space with the comics, but I believe that is what kind of occurred. We don't really see that much in the movies, but I heard, or I've seen that it's basically because she gets poisoned by a kraken and is saved by the Atlanteans. Now, this would lead to them having a truce, and that's the main thing I'll be talking about. The flashback is a truce between the Amazonians and the Atlanteans, where Aquaman and Diana, or Wonder Woman of Themyscira, more or less just shake hands. And this is where things get really, really kind of brutal, but also the fact that this world is just flat out brutal. And what I mean by that is, this is very old-timey, you could say, or a lot of movies have definitely approached, or like kind of these fictional movies do approach things in this way, because we see Diana and Aquaman are basically able to be joined in marriage, but it's like a political marriage, right? We see this sometime, and I think the best example of it for me right now is in Dune. If anybody has seen Dune, or Dune 2, or Dune Part 2, something like that, we do see something mildly like this. And political marriages are something that weren't too uncommon, like way back when. But this was basically to stop a war. But we all know that this truce doesn't last, because there's still literally a war going on. So you may be wondering, well, what the hell happened in the first place? Well, to keep it very, very simple, it's because two gods couldn't keep it in their pants. Okay, maybe that's a little... Sorry about that. Okay, they couldn't keep their pants on, okay? I'm gonna be honest. They couldn't. And it's also because, well, Mera, Aquaman's like actual lover, tries to assassinate Wonder Woman. Look, man, I'm with you all on the idea that cheating is bad. Don't cheat, okay? Don't do that. That's horrible. Don't cheat on your partners, okay? But I feel like there is an understanding when dealing with gods, or extremely powerful beings, or maybe even also extremely political environments, or also volatile environments, like as well, that you don't try and kill the queen of another really massive threat. Like, this treaty would have saved the entire world. Like, the truce would have saved the world. I mean, sort of, because they probably would have just joined together and took over together, but still, it would have saved the world in terms of, complete and utter destruction, which that does happen, but that's not my point right now. Now, I will say Wonder Woman is definitely not innocent in all of this, and this is where she is an absolute menace, because when Mara would try to kill her, she would obviously defend herself, but that's not even what makes her the menace. It's the fact that she straight up cuts her head off, lifts her head up like a trophy, like flat out like a trophy, and then wears the headgear that Mara used to wear as a tribute. And she does later on say that it was more used as a warning, but come on. We all know that it was used as a tribute. We all know that that warning was a scare tactic, and it was basically telling everybody to not mess with them, not play with them, and at the end of the day, to fear them. So yes, it was worn as a tribute, and it was worn as kind of like a trophy of some sorts. And that is menacing, like really menacing, and that makes this Wonder, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty badass. It's pretty badass. She is terrifying, she is brutal, but that was really freaking badass. And yeah, the whole political, that whole thing with the whole cheating and, all that, it was pretty stupid. Not gonna lie. I don't mean it in terms of the writing, and well, maybe I do mean it in terms of the writing a little bit, but more specifically, it's stupid that Mara would approach it this way. I mean, you knew this would happen. Let's be honest. Like, there's no way you didn't. I mean, we're dealing with gods here. We're dealing with beings of superpowered proportions here. You know what I mean? You know something like this could 100% occur, and you know the repercussions of trying to kill Wonder Woman. So maybe next time you bring a bigger stick. And what I mean by that is you plan a little bit better to kill the person that is taking your husband or taking Aquaman, right? It just didn't make sense. I mean, Mara came extremely unprepared, died, and then literally ensued to basically cause war to break out once again because of her lack of planning. And that's basically what it was. And it's a sad thing. But like I said, don't cheat, guys. Cheating is bad, but these are gods, so they don't listen to morals sometimes, or a lot of the times. So, yeah. Does it really matter? Yeah. I don't really think so. But we do lead on to another brutal and also very menace-like behavior from Wonder Woman, and that would be fighting the Shazam kids. And yes, I understand they were a threat, at least to her to a degree, but why can't I watch her defeat, and I'm gonna say defeat because I am talking about the Shazam kids, why can't I watch them get defeated in their adult form? I'm just saying, like, like fully defeated in their adult form. I'm not really a fan of watching Wonder Woman, let's just say, defeat a little child. That wasn't very, very cool to watch. But can we talk about how cool the idea of a bunch of little kids becoming a one Shazam? Like, that is super dope. I know that's a little off topic, but I honestly find that to be really, really cool. And it's like, they're like Captain Thunder. Like, oh my, that's actually super dope. I know I didn't bring that up in the past video, if you guys have seen that, but I absolutely love that. But yeah, Wonder Woman's an absolute menace, man. Like, she straight up killed, Shazam or Captain Thunder, and did it when they were in, let's just say, their non-transformed form. There you go. Boom. There we go. So, yeah. I mean, she even fights against Aquaman, and they do have that whole conversation with, like, oh, it's not a tribute, it's a warning, whatever, right? But she has that fight. But there is part of her that is a somewhat good person, even though she's done some pretty heinous things overall, by, killing a ton of people and also doing a ton of other horrible stuff. But she does love Aquaman. I mean, you even see it when everything is crumbling, when everything is burning and exploding into ash. She hugs the, deceased body of Aquaman as they're consumed by a giant blast, or which I believe is called the Doomsday Device. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Or if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But to wrap everything up, Wonder Woman is an absolute menace. Now, I'm not saying that she's like completely a horrible person in this version. I'm not saying she's a good person in this version, because she's definitely not a good person in this version. But it's wild to see the drastic changes that this Wonder Woman goes through compared to her hero counterpart. Like, it is crazy the differences. I mean, it's a lot more political, a lot more Amazonian based. I mean, it seems as if the Amazonians really want to show and put their footprint on the world way more than the original canon, where they're kind of off on their own. They don't really want to be known and stuff like that. It's crazy how one thing, literally one single thing, can absolutely flip everything on its head. I mean, Flashpoint is an amazing movie, but also an amazing idea. I love Flashpoint. I love the idea of time being that sensitive, especially because you have a world that has the Justice League, has people that are saving as many people as possible. You have these good superheroes. You have the Flash, you have the Wonder Womans, you have Green Lantern and stuff like that. You have all these good people, but then you have Flashpoint and everything's flipped on its head. Everything. Batman is a killer. Cyborg works with the government. Superman was quote unquote never discovered, right? You have Wonder Woman and Aquaman, who are massively political and are way more into basically controlling their people or being involved in their people's like decisions and stuff like that, way more. And like I said, Amazonians being more active in the world, believing that they wanted to actually put their footprint and make a difference, even though that difference was pretty wild, but make a difference in the world compared to be hidden or away. I mean, war, the big war, that's like the massive one, right? In the Flashpoint paradox. I mean, there's people in the world like Barry's mother, who he saved, that is casually talking about the war as if it's a normal thing. It is not normal that there's a war going on. It's wild. And it's not your normal typical war either. This is like bad war. Now, of course, superhero or super-like beings do make wars 10, 15, maybe even a billion times worse, but that's kind of beyond the point. Like I said, though, this version of Wonder Woman is an absolute freaking menace. But I could see also the other side of things and also the good parts of her as well. And maybe that sounds like a I can fix her kind of joke, and maybe it is to an extent, but I just wanted to put that out there as well. So if you believe that Flashpoint Paradox Wonder Woman is an absolute menace, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe I missed some examples. Maybe you have some examples from the comics and stuff that I don't know, because you know me, I'm a comic casual. And as always, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. And if you enjoyed this one, well, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this one, so you might as well go check it out, right? What's the harm in it?